Strive Coaching Studio, guiding business leaders to meet the highest version of themselves. And now, here's Michelle, certified coach and founder of Strive Coaching Studio.
Hey everybody! Today I want to talk to you about a concept called hyperachievement. This is probably going to catch some attention because I know some of you out there have expressed your desire to want to tackle that and discuss that and really dive into how hyperachievement works really well for you in your life and maybe some areas and times when it hasn't. And so I hope that I can share some information with you today, but also my story a little bit to help you get a concept of what this means, where it can serve you, and how it can get in your way. So I've always been very driven. I know this about myself. When I was younger, I knew it very young, even as a child. I knew I could accomplish so much of the world, and I was committed to doing that. It wasn't competitive in any way. It was just all about me. And this belief and this drive gave me so much spark and fire toward creativity and accomplishment, and it served me really well. I was willing to move away from my hometown, many states away, to a new place, which was fairly required to go somewhere. It was a very small town. I worked 2 jobs. I climbed the ladders. I learned. I did whatever I needed to do in each of those positions in terms of learning and growing myself in the corporate positions I had that would allow me to accomplish more. Eventually, I started my own company. I built it from nothing. I had tons of hard work in it. And I grew it over time to a success. Now, somewhere along the way, what I had defined myself as early on, all of that evolved. I didn't know what was happening while it was occurring, but it was happening. So what I was calling drive, commitment, and accomplishment was actually and had evolved into hyperachievement and over-perfectionism. I allowed myself to be triggered to a place where surviving financially and thinking about work and success was the only thing that was driving me. It was coming from good intentions for other people, but I was blinded by what was happening inside and outside of myself while I was so busy accomplishing the next thing. So what was happening? Well, my personal life was not what I thought it needed to look like. My relationships suffered from it. I didn't take care of myself at all, and my body was reminding me of it in the way that I felt and the way that I looked every day. And ultimately, I could see that no matter how successful I was professionally, if I wasn't taking care of myself, my relationships, and truly taking the time to uphold my values and my priorities, it would also be what caused my professional life to ultimately suffer too. One of my many taps on the shoulder that occurred for me in my life was when I overheard one of my mentors talking about me to a group of other business people. She was bragging of my successes and accomplishments to them, and she was speaking of me in really high regard. It was extremely kind, very generous of her, and I still, to this day, I appreciate her for all she has taught me and all that she's been for me. But there was something she said that hit me in the strangest way at the time, and I'll never forget it. She said, "It doesn't matter what Michelle does in life. She could be pumping gas for a living, and if she did, she would pump gas hard." Again, I know what she meant, but in that moment, I had a thought about it and about myself that made me feel a little bit ashamed. And as soon as I did, it was a great tap on my shoulder to rethink some things. So many things occurred to me then, like, why do I think I need to pump gas hard? Why does anyone? Who cares? Why do I or we think that doing something hard is better? What if it could not be hard and I could get the same or better result? And by the way, maybe I'm working hard, but there's a lot of things, other things that I'm not doing very well, or pushing very hard, or even paying attention to. So what did I cost myself or miss while I was so worried about pumping the gas hard? And to this day, she has absolutely no idea the significance of that conversation that I overheard that day. Most likely she wouldn't even remember having said it at all, but I will never forget it for my entire life. The skill and exercise of recognizing my values, my priorities, and holding myself accountable to honor myself is the true test of who I was going to choose to be as a person, not just as a business professional or as an entrepreneur. If I want to be a satisfied human and an example to women, an example to my children and my friends and anyone, I first needed to be an example that I am proud of. I needed to become somebody I was proud of in terms of how I was showing up and what was my motivation every day. I needed to rethink it. I didn't want to define myself that way anymore. And the only reason that what she said that day hit me so hard is because that is exactly how I was defining myself already. She just put a mirror up in front of my face to see it for myself so that I could decide if I liked what I saw. And I didn't like it. I was not getting results in my life that brought me the peace and satisfaction that I so desperately needed and wanted in my life, that I was trying to find and pursue and strive for in all of the wrong ways. All of the people and things that I was constantly trying to control, fix, make better, make just perfect, and probably manipulate were causing me more pain in my life. I was doing it because I believed that would bring me what I needed, but it did the opposite. And it was not until I truly looked at what I wanted in my life and what I wanted it to look like and who I wanted to be that I was on the road to finding it. Outlining my values and my priorities allowed me to see where my energy could serve me and others best and where it would not. Now, I still struggle today regularly with my perfectionistic tendencies, and I probably always will. Our brains have this wiring in them from our very earliest days, and we learned how to survive and function successfully in this world with the people around us with those tendencies. So because of that, my mind likes to go back and use it again occasionally. And sometimes it's a good thing, but most times it's not. Our very best blessings can also be our curses. Once we truly know that, it makes it so much easier to see it when it's happening and then make decisions about how we want to proceed each time. So what are your tendencies? What are the ways you have operated for as long as you can remember that have served you so very well along the way and gotten you to where you are? And then ask yourself, what are the ways and in what times or occasions have they been in the way or limited you? At the end of the day, do you have the results you truly want in your life? And if not, why? Now, I had plenty of things and people that I could have blamed back then. I could tell you stories right now, post them on social media, and scream my story out loud about how I was a victim of other people and my circumstances all day long. And guess what? Millions of people would believe me. They would take my side. They would be mad with me about those people in those situations with me and for me, in support of me. But none of that would be true. It was never the fault of my circumstances, and it was never for others to take the blame. I chose to lose track and not honor my priorities and my values. I didn't redefine success for myself again. I forgot to take care of myself. I never communicated to myself or anyone else what was most important and what needed to change. And because of that, I no longer dreamed or knew how to be creative and explore the things that brought me the most joy in my life. And the only person responsible for that was me. And it is me, still, right now, to make those choices and be responsible. And it's only you, too. It is only yours, too. Because once I made these shifts, the rest fell into place. Because I found the peace, the resolve, the acceptance, and the happiness for myself. I continued to find it everywhere I looked. Because I found this space, my work became the most fulfilling and rewarding as it had ever been, and still is years later. It's not perfect, and it never will be. I do work hard, and I give so much of myself into it, but not for the same reasons. not because it will be better when I get there, and not because it's not yet perfect. If you relate to this in any way, ask yourself, what are the results I have in my life right now? What are the most important things to me? What are my tendencies? What are the ways I've operated for as long as I can remember that have worked so very well that might be limiting me now? How have they also limited me? And what do I want to change in my approach and thinking right now to get me on the track that takes me where I want to go? And when you go through this process, you find freedom. You find your true power. And from all of that, you find happiness, fulfillment, and reward in your path again. This is my wish for you. And if you're looking for ways to work on this path for yourself, this is what we do every single day here at Strive Coaching Studio. It costs you nothing to check us out. Come see how you can create a life of true reward. I'll see you soon.
Thanks for listening. For more great tips, visit us on strivecoachingstudio.com.